Hey everybody, so yeah, it's been a while. About 8 months to be exact. And well, unlike my other videos where I usually go over some sort of, game or topic, usually in like a picking game, this one's gonna be a unscripted, just kind of topic I always wanted to talk about. This being Nintendo gimmicks, like, motion controls of the Wii, or like dual screen, all those kind of fun gimmicks. Gimmicks have always been not really a great term when discussing these consoles. People usually think of them as like this sort of bad thing, like where the whole like console, every single game is built around them. Like they always made them out to be this horrible thing. From the beginning, Nintendo consoles were usually really like revolutionary. Actually, they would always add something new. While not really having these gimmicks yet, they all stood on their own. For instance, the SNES, the NES being the first one, just normal, when you think of a normal console, that's one of the ones you think of. SNES adds like 2 extra buttons, you got the whole main four that most consoles today have, shoulder buttons as well. Going to something like the N64, 3D graphics, or the GameCube also being a more like a souped up N64, you could say. Not necessarily, not the same kind of graphics, but, not really, new controller. Oh, yeah, they added 2 joysticks on, like, the N64. Like, they added a lot, which, that's what Nintendo consoles always used to have, and same thing with the handhelds. You have the Game Boy, then Game Boy Color, adding color, the Game Boy Advance, which, like the Game Boy Advance, it's really just like a, oh well, I mean, in this case, yeah, it is a way better Game Boy, play better games, better graphics, of course. You had like the Game Boy Advance SP, which is basically just a different model of the Game Boy Advance, and that's what a lot of these Nintendo consoles used to be, where they always kind of one-upped each other almost. They would add things, improve things, make things better, all that good stuff. And I feel like it really changed with the Wii. Or actually, like the Wii and 3DS era. I was sorry, the Wii and DS era. This era was basically where they started to do more like gimmicks with their consoles. For instance, the DS did dual screen for the first time. You don't even really see that today in games. Like, you could do so much with a second screen, and like, I always loved the dual screen on the 3DS. Sorry, DS. You know how it is. But you know, for the first console like this, they actually did a pretty good job. You know, like they could have like a mini map on the bottom of the screen. They really could do much. They could do so much. And the main point of this video is I just want to see how awesome like these consoles were, because unlike these other consoles where like they did improve tremendously, adding so many better things, but something so cool about these older these like gimmicky consoles, right, is the fact that they change how these games are made and played. For instance, the dual screen, you have a mini map, like I mentioned, on some games. That is actually pretty useful. Or a lot, like some of the Mario and Luigi games, they typically use the bottom screen in battles and all. Or just really any of those games. They always find a way to use it. And also that bottom screen was a touch screen, so you also have touch controls. Like, you have a lot there and like, it doesn't feel too out of the ordinary. Like, it still feels like a normal console, just, well, a second screen. And I always love that about these consoles. They were just, I don't know, they changed the way of how these games are played, and it's so much fun. And then the same thing with the Wii, except they added motion controls. And I'd admit, like, yeah, some games, maybe they're not the best, but people always have made it seem where it's like, you're swinging the Wii remote to move and, like, play the entire game with. No, that's not the case at all. Yeah, sure, some games, like, Wii Sports being the tech demo for the console, yeah, they use a lot of motion controls, but that's kind of the point. You're showing it off. And I feel like this is the point of how games are made better, because they like, they use this gimmick. See, like, with Wii Sports, it would be nowhere near as fun if it didn't have the motion controls. Or, like, like, you could just do so much with them. Like Mario Galaxy, the pointer is actually pretty fun. You know, it's not really annoying at all. You point at the star bits, collect them, and you can shoot them out. And sometimes you have to use like the blue pulsars. You know, there's a lot of things you could do with motion controls, and the Wii has pretty much done it all. And I honestly think it did a really good job. You know, it makes these games stand out, especially Pikmin games. To all my Pikmin fans out there, the games are like leagues better with motion controls. It really goes to show how it can improve a game, how it's played and how it's made solely because of this gimmick. Like, especially the Wii's gimmick, you know. People never really like that one. I personally love it, you know. I could see the kind of hatred for it, but the only game I could really think of, you know, apart from all the shovelware and all, is like, you know, Donkey Kong Country Returns that use the motion controls a bit much, you know, for rolling and stuff. I could totally understand that, but like New Super Mario Bros. Wii, really, it's like you shake the remote to pick something up or shake in the air. I like that, you know. It's I don't know. It's kind of like instinct. Whenever you fall in a pit or something, you're trying to shake to survive. I've really always liked these, you know, the motion controls. And then moving on to the Wii U, they pulled this is like they kind of pulled an SNES, I guess you could say. It's the sequel console to the Wii. And while they retained Wii remotes and all their functions, they added the gamepad. And honestly, it's amazing. See, with the gamepad, it's a lot like the second screen with the DS, you know. Like, instead this time, you know, where it's not one whole console, or, well, you know, connected. It streams, like, it's kind of, the console, actually, streams into the gameplay to the gamepad as well. And you can get, like, these really weird, like, gaming experiences with this console. Anybody who has played Nintendo Land with 4 other people knows what I'm talking about. You know, you could just have so much fun with the way this works. Because, like, having this console that one person uses while the rest, you know, use Wii remotes or something, allows for the motion controls of the Wii, which still are pretty well used here, as well as the gamepad, where, like, you know, you could have somebody hidden, like, you know, I'm just going to use Nintendo Land as an example, the Luigi's Mansion mode, where the players on the TV don't know where the ghost is, but the ghost, you know, they could see everything and they have to catch everybody. Because they are using gamepad, they can only see that. Or, you know, Mario Chase, where everybody's chasing Mario and Mario knows where everybody is. And I always love that. You know, it just made games fun. Like, I don't know. You know, you never really see that with these other, like, console developers. Not, you know, not throwing any flack to them, but the Nintendo consoles were always unique. You know, games were typically made specifically for that hardware, usually making some of these games kind of harder to work on new consoles, you know. That's why we haven't really seen many 3DS games on Switch yet, or why they take longer to be put, you know, as in Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. I'm still waiting for that. But, yeah, like, they really made this thing work well, especially Pikmin 3, you know, to all my Pikmin fans out there again. Having the go here function, all that stuff. It's a really helpful little accessory. And apart from that, like, yeah, I mean, you still have the motion controls, pretty cool gimmick. And I just love this console so much. Like, the Wii U is seriously the most underrated and overhated Nintendo console. 'Cause, you know, honestly, most of the people who hate a Wii U never even owned one. I'm just saying. But, you know, moving on to the 3DS, it's a lot like the Wii to Wii U, you know, DS to 3DS. It's the sequel console, despite being called 3. But, yeah, the 3D, like, I'm gonna admit, the 3D effect, it's kind of lame. I never even really used it back then, only except, like, certain instances, but, like, I don't care for it. It's more so the fact that it's a whole new console. Like, you have a whole new user interface. You have, like, completely different apps. And, like, all right, like, you literally just look at any of the 3DS apps and you see the gimmick. The camera was used a lot. The AR, that's a big one. A lot of the, like, okay, I'd admit, AR, hardly used. And the camera, it was used more in some cases, but, it's more so more of the 3DS experience. And, yeah, it's not perfect, but I love the 3DS. It might not be as new or creative as the original DS or, its different versions like the DSi and all. But the 3DS, it's amazing. It seriously is fantastic. And honestly, I really want them to do another one. But now that brings us to the Switch. And you might be thinking, like, oh, that's the coolest gimmick of it all. You can play games at home or, on the toilet. I don't know where you want to do it. You could just bring the console anywhere. And not to mention, you could, slide off the Joy-Cons and use, like, separate them, two different controllers. It's amazing. Except, I don't really think that. I mean, like, it is cool, but, like, the thing is, with the Wii U or something, you get a new way for games to be made. With the Switch, you get a new way to play games. It's a completely different thing. Like, yeah, I could play, like, Mario Odyssey thousands of different ways, detached Joy-Cons, Pro Controller, handheld, in the dock, a bunch of ways. But the game is not really impacted by the way you play. See, with the gamepad or, motion controls, they kind of work around all that. They make a game kind of optimized for it, and it makes a more interesting experience. Again, with Nintendo Land, you would never... That's probably the reason we never had it on Switch, because it would be nowhere near as fun without the gamepad, without this specific thing that makes the console good. And honestly, with all these, like, Switch 2 rumors or, just false claims, not really leaks, but, you really see that people want to Switch 2, and honestly, I don't want that at all. Like, it really depends. People, like, I find a lot of the time people want to have a Nintendo console that's just a normal console. No weird stuff, just Nintendo console. Or sometimes in the Switch 2 case, just a souped up Switch. Nothing much. Nothing new, nothing crazy, just a Switch, but better. And honestly, it's like, why? I mean, like, the Wii U, like, yeah, sure, it failed, but, like, it had a cool idea. The idea, it didn't fail because of the idea. It failed because nobody cared or really, well, nobody knowed what the Wii U was. They didn't advertise it right, and, well, most of the Wii's consumer base was, casual fans. So to make a sequel to something where people got their fix from the Wii, they didn't really care for more, that was kind of a, mistake. But, like, the console itself, the games that were made, for the gamepad and for the whole gimmick of the console, it made them better. And with the Switch, you don't really see that. You could, with being able to play these games in so many different ways. Like, let me just say this. Mario Maker, this is, like, one of the best examples I could think of. On Wii U, Mario Maker, so much fun. Sure, the game, so limited. But it was so much fun to just draw levels with these just random blocks and all. But then with Mario Maker 2, you have to just... It's not really like that anymore. I mean, sure, you could use the touchscreen, but it's just more slower. It's not... Mario Maker is not made for the Switch, with the controllers in mind and all. And it really goes to show how something as simple as a creative idea truly makes certain games better. And honestly, I'm bummed that, this might be the case. Like, I don't know. I mean, Nintendo usually surprises people, so hopefully, yeah, maybe we'd get a brand new console, or a Switch, similar in the Wii U's case, where yeah, it is a sequel console, but it had its own unique feature. I I would like that to be the case. I mean, I really don't mind, but I just want it to be new, and I feel like that's what made Nintendo consoles so great in the first place. The fact that they're just unique. So I guess here will be a little bonus part of the video. What's an idea I have for the next Nintendo console? Well, I think honestly, I've been really glazing the Wii U right here, but well, I really think they could do almost like a little Wii U redemption thing. Hear me out. So you got the Switch, right? But now think of, or here, let me restart. So imagine the Wii U. You got the gamepad and you got the console, on the TV. Two separate screens. But imagine if you could just take that Wii U gamepad outside, wherever you want. Basically like the Switch, yeah, but in this case you have two different screens. You could still make room for these more interesting games and experiences. And honestly, you could port some 3DS and Wii U game. Well, they ported most of the Wii U games over, but honestly, you could definitely they could definitely like do DS games and all, and I would really like that. It's nothing crazy. I would honestly rather have something completely out there, but honestly, I think I'd be pretty happy with it. I mean, I'm not the hugest fan of the Switch. It was the type of thing where it's like it had its hype in the beginning, but I don't know. I just fell off of it. It didn't really satisfy me for this whole 7 years this thing was out. And well, honestly, I just want the next thing to come out. I want something new, and well, yeah, the Switch just doesn't feel that anymore. And honestly, guys, I think that's about it. I think it's time to wrap up the video. Yeah, sorry. This video is pretty long and unscripted. I feel like this is the type of thing where I can't really just make a script to talk about it. I'd rather just ramble. So, yeah, I feel like I can get more out of me when I, because these are the type of things I think about, it's just like, you never really, see people talking about this sort of thing, and I don't know, I just wanted to get it out there, I guess, and, well, yeah. Thanks for watching, though. I know I haven't uploaded in 8 months, and the videos back then weren't even really that good still. But, yeah, sorry for the really long wait, and, yeah, just seriously, thanks for watching. So, bye!